You ever notice how the avoidant never seems shaken, never seems affected, never seems moved? You could be falling apart, and they'll stand there, arms crossed, voice steady, eyes calm. But here's what no one tells you: that calm isn't peace, it's control. The avoidant learned a long time ago that the one who shows less hurts less, and so their calm isn't confidence, it's protection, a way to win the invisible war they've been fighting since childhood, where emotions were weapons and silence was survival. You think they're unbothered, but really, they're managing an internal storm, one you're never allowed to see. Because being unbothered is how they stay powerful in a world that once made them feel powerless. There was a time when the avoidant wasn't calm, when they cried easily, when they reached out, when they felt everything, deeply, honestly, and without shame. But in that world, emotion came with a cost. Every tear made someone sigh. Every need brought tension. Every attempt to connect was met with a wall that said, "Not now." So they learned. They learned that silence kept the peace. That composure made them safer. That being the good one, the one who didn't react, didn't complain, didn't need, earned them love in small, quiet doses. And that's how control was born. Not out of strength, but out of fear. Fear that if they lost it, they'd lose everything else too. To grow up avoidant is to grow up invisible in plain sight. They were there, but their feelings were not. Their home might not have looked abusive. There may not have been shouting, or chaos, or neglect that the world could see. But emotional neglect doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks calm, predictable, orderly. A house where feelings were inconvenient, where parents smiled instead of listened, where everything's fine, was said 100 times a day, even when it wasn't. So the avoidant adapted. They internalized that message. If I don't make waves, I'm loved. They traded truth for stability, emotion for acceptance, presence for approval, and that exchange became their template for safety. When you meet an avoidant adult, you're not meeting their true self. You're meeting their training, a training that taught them to regulate the world by regulating themselves, to stay safe by staying still. The calm they show you isn't emotional maturity, it's emotional armor. They use stillness, like others use shouting. They control tone, pace, and even breath, because being measured keeps them in charge of the moment. The world applauds them for it. They're called level-headed, logical, strong, but they know, deep down, that their calm comes with a cost. Because when you always need to be calm, you never get to be real. The child who learned to stay composed didn't just grow into someone who hides emotion. They grew into someone who fears emotion. They associate feeling with losing control. They associate softness with danger. They associate vulnerability with being trapped. So when someone comes close, when love demands openness, the avoidance system doesn't feel safe. It feels exposed. Their calm becomes a shield. Their distance, a strategy. Their quiet, a form of power. And power, for them, isn't about dominance. It's about survival. Because somewhere deep inside, the avoidance still believes that if they lose control, they'll lose love. It's not that they want to control you. It's that their nervous system only feels safe when it's in charge. They don't know how to feel without managing it. They don't know how to love without predicting it. So they stay calm, detached, measured, not because they don't care, but because caring feels like stepping into fire. Their calm keeps them cool, but it also keeps them lonely, because the very thing that protects them is the same thing that prevents them from being seen. And that's the tragic paradox of the avoidant. They learn to control emotion, to stay connected. But that control is what eventually destroys connection. Their calm doesn't save them, it isolates them. And every time someone says, "I love how grounded you are," a part of them flinches because they know the truth. They're not grounded, they're guarding, not peaceful, just practiced. And that mask has been in place for so long that even they've forgotten what's underneath. They grow up, and now calm isn't just a shield, it's a weapon, subtle, polished, almost invisible, because the avoidant learned early that whoever reacts first loses power. So now, they keep their cool like currency. And the more emotional you become, the more control they feel slipping back into their hands. They won't yell. They won't chase. They won't show that anything got to them, because they believe the moment they show it, they'll be owned by it. To the avoidant, emotion equals exposure, and exposure equals loss. So when you cry, they stay calm. When you question, they stay calm. When you beg for something real, they look away and say, "You're overreacting." Not because they don't see your pain, but because acknowledging it would force them to acknowledge their own. And that's something they've spent a lifetime avoiding. Being unbothered is their way of staying bigger than their own wounds. It's how they rewrite the power dynamic that once made them feel small. In childhood, they were the powerless one. Now, they've learned how to stay untouchable. They don't fight to win. They stay calm to not lose. And that calm, that eerie, collected stillness, becomes their way of controlling the temperature of the entire relationship. You can feel it. The unspoken rule that says, "If you want me to stay, don't get emotional." So you start silencing yourself too. You start mirroring their composure. You start thinking calm equals safety. And soon, you're both pretending nothing matters, when everything does. The avoidance calm shapes every conversation. They use pauses, the way others use arguments. They let silence drag until you're the one who breaks. They'll look at you with that steady, unmoved expression, the one that makes you question if you're too much. And in that questioning, they regain control. Because as long as you're doubting your reaction, they don't have to face theirs. It's not conscious cruelty. It's survival strategy disguised as composure. The avoidant believes that emotional distance protects both of you from chaos. They genuinely think calm keeps things adult. What they don't see is how their calm kills connection. You can't bond with someone who treats vulnerability like weakness. You can't grow intimacy. When one person refuses to feel, their stillness creates safety for them, but loneliness for you, because nothing is more isolating than being with someone who's always composed, someone who never breaks, never admits, never shakes, someone who uses calm to stay in control of love. And the truth is, they don't even enjoy it. The avoidant doesn't sit there thinking, "I'm powerful." They're thinking, "I'm safe." Finally, but that safety is fragile because deep down, they know their calm is conditional. If they ever let go, if they ever cry, if they ever say the wrong thing, they'll have to face everything they've suppressed. And the longer they hold it in, the more control they need to keep it all from spilling out. So when you come close, they tighten. When you soften, they harden. When you reach, they retreat. Their nervous system mistakes love for danger, and calm becomes their only way to survive the feeling of being loved. The calm that once made them feel strong is slowly making them hollow. They start living for peace, not passion, for predictability, not presence. They trade connection for control and call it maturity. They tell themselves they're not dramatic, that they don't do chaos, that they value their peace. But that peace isn't peace. It's absence. Absence of risk. Absence of honesty. absence of real emotional life. Because being unbothered all the time means you're never truly alive. The people who love them feel it. They feel that distance disguised as calm, that politeness that hides fear, that neutrality that feels like rejection. It's confusing, because how can someone so composed also be so unreachable? But to understand the avoidant is to see the paradox. Their calm isn't indifference, it's overprotection. They don't stay calm because they don't care. They stay calm because caring feels dangerous. Because once upon a time, caring got them hurt. They always thought calm would save them. That if they could just stay still, just stay logical, they'd never drown again. But then, someone comes along who doesn't want their calm. They want them. Someone who doesn't get impressed by composure. Someone who looks at their silence and says, I know that's not the whole story. And suddenly, that calm doesn't feel like power anymore. It feels like glass, fragile, thin, ready to crack under the weight of being seen. The avoidance starts to feel it first in the body. Their chest tightens. When you look at them too long, their stomach knots. When you ask what they feel, their throat closes. When you say you care, every gesture of love triggers an alarm they can't turn off. They don't understand why something that's supposed to feel safe makes them want to run. So they pull back, not to punish you, to protect themselves. Because love feels like exposure, and exposure feels like losing control. Inside, they're not calm anymore. They're terrified. They rehearse every text before sending it. They read your tone 3 times over. They worry that saying, I miss you, will make them weak. They tell themselves, I just need space. But really, they're trying to find ground. They don't know how to stay when their nervous system is screaming to flee. So they fake calm. They act like nothing's wrong. They retreat into silence, the only place that ever felt safe. But silence, this time, doesn't calm them. It hurts, because now there's someone on the other side of it. Someone who matters. Someone who actually wanted to stay. That's when the avoidant realizes control doesn't protect them anymore. It isolates them. They start feeling the cost of all those years of composure. Every I'm fine has become a wall too high to climb back over. Every moment of silence has turned into a graveyard of connection. They wanted peace. They got loneliness. They wanted safety. They got distance. And it hits them. That calm doesn't stop pain. It just delays it. It stores it, compresses it, until one small moment of a scent, a message, a goodbye cracks the surface, and everything they've been holding in finally starts to bleed out. That's when they break. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, the way they've lived. A single text at midnight, a shaky hey, a memory that won't let them sleep. They start replaying moments they thought they'd forgotten, the softness they pushed away, the warmth they once dismissed as too much. And for the first time, they don't feel powerful. They feel hollow. The calm they were proud of feels heavy now, like a costume that doesn't fit. Because control might keep you safe, but it also keeps you small. They begin to see that love was never trying to overpower them. It was trying to meet them. But to meet love, they'll have to risk the one thing they've never allowed themselves to lose: composure. And that's the hardest part of healing for the avoidant. Not learning to feel, but learning to survive feeling. Because for them, feeling has always been synonymous with danger. So the moment they let their calm slip, their whole body tenses, waiting for rejection, for judgment, for the thing they feared most: being seen and not being safe. But something different happens this time. They cry, and no one leaves. They open up, and no one uses it against them. They tremble, and the world doesn't fall apart. That's how healing begins, not through perfect composure, but through imperfect safety, through the slow realization that being unbothered isn't strength, it's starvation, and that the kind of calm they truly need isn't the calm of control, but the calm of being held. And maybe one day, the avoidant will finally understand that love was never the danger. The danger was never letting themselves be loved at all. They'll still have moments where calm feels safer, where they slip back into silence, because silence is familiar. Healing doesn't erase the old reflexes, it just helps them see them for what they are. Every time they choose to stay present, instead of shutting down, they're rewriting their nervous system. They're teaching their body. That calm can come from truth, not control. That love doesn't have to mean surrender. That showing emotion doesn't make them weak. It makes them human. To the outside world, they might still look collected, still sound steady, still act calm. But on the inside, something has shifted. Now their calm comes from courage, not fear, from allowing, not avoiding. It's the calm that comes when you no longer have to manage everything, just to feel safe. It's not about being unbothered. It's about being unafraid. And that's the difference between control and peace. Control is rigid. It demands silence. Peace is alive. It makes room for sound. Control says, I can handle this alone. Peace whispers, I don't have to. So if you've ever loved someone avoidant, remember this. Their calm wasn't rejection. It was fear, dressed as strength. And if you are the avoidant, know this too. Your calm isn't broken. It was just built in a world that didn't make space for your emotions. You can keep your calm, but you don't have to lose yourself inside it. Because real power isn't in being unbothered. It's in being real and still choosing to stay.